Thanks, Chris. What are my most anticipated arrivals from 2023? Now, this was a very loose list because it was really hard for me to pick games that are for sure arriving in 2023, right? Like, if you're like me, you're looking at the crowdfunding, you're looking at that date of when things are going to be arriving, and you go, I guarantee it's going to be 6 months after that, right? And so picking these was very tough. Picking these was trying to say, okay, I think they're going to arrive sometime within this year, right? That's a large time frame. So I picked out 10 games, my top 10 that are going to be arriving, hopefully, fingers crossed, in this calendar year. Let's do this. Let me tell you what they are and why. Number one here, we are going back almost 2 years now at this point. Delivery was supposed to be like mid 2022. We knew that wasn't going to happen. Primal the Awakening from Reggie Games. I don't know. Boss battling has been raised up a notch since Aeon Trespass Odyssey came out. Aeon Trespass Odyssey has set the new bar, the new standard, I think, for that element of things. I'm not expecting Primal to rival it from a narrative, overall, situational, campaign, integrated system. But what I am hoping is an absolute dynamic battling system that is unique and unlike anything else. And that's a high bar with Aeon Trespass Odyssey. That's a high bar with other things. You know, I'm not discounting Kingdom Death. I'm not discounting Townsfolk Tussle, those sorts of things. But that is sort of where the standard has now been set. And so what is Primal going to bring to us? How does it compare to even when it launched, when it was being in the production, when it was being in the pledge manager of Monster Hunter? Where are those going to end up? So I have to put it on that list. And again, this is probably the biggest asterisk probably on the list right now of, is it going to arrive in 2023? I don't think it's going to arrive before Q3. And if anything else happens, like with China and the COVID and all of a sudden the COVID surge, that pushes things even further, that we've already gotten a couple emails out from other campaigns that are getting delayed because of that already this year, and or not even at the end of the first month of the year, how is that trickle-down effect going to happen? Because it's going to happen. It's just to what extent. Miniatures look great. I'm a little worried about the price point I paid, but will it hold up? Will it hold out? And will I be as excited about it as I was when I got Aeon Trespass Odyssey to the table? That's going to be a good test of the market. So that's why it's number one. Number two is also a big plastic chunk of game, and this is Marvel Zombies. Marvel Zombies is going to be completely hit or miss for me. I'm either going to love it like I do Marvel United, or I think I'm going to end up selling it. I didn't go all in. I didn't get Galactus. I'm completely okay with that. I think I went with 2 expansions. And I said, okay, these are the ones that I want. These are the mechanics that I want. These are the amount of money that I want to spend on this. And my fear is, and I don't think it's going to happen yet, but I'll put this out there. If they deliver this sometime mid-2023, Wave 1 has already been shipped. Wave 1 has already been received. Wave 1 is already getting hyped. Wave 1 is already getting reviewed. If we get it before the end of 2023, if we get it by 2/3 of the way through of 2023, I could see within 3 to 4 months after that having a season 2 of Marvel Zombies, just like we saw with Marvel's United now having seasons 2 and seasons 3. Because I think we've seen now with Simon that they're going to do that, and they're going to play off of those things more because they're going to milk the things that are getting them money. And Zombicide, hello, is already their biggest one. And Marvel, hello, look at all the stuff they've done with United and the stuff that could be added from those aspects. So that is both my fear and my trepidation, sort of like getting a half completed game, or that's going to be made, 2.0 version, a la Marvel United. Am I excited about it? Yeah, because I've never played Zombicide. I think this is going to be a nice tweener game for my kids, as something that's going to be a nice step up. That's not going to be Dead of Winter. That's not going to be that, but it's going to have the Marvel incorporation, because 2 of their favorite games are Marvel games. They are excited about the superheroes. Say what you want about that. I know plenty of you guys in the comment section let me know, like, you want nothing to do with Marvel. Let me tell you, it's a hit with the kids. If it's a hit with the kids, it hits the table. If it hits the table, it's a winner in my book. Right? That's the avenue that I approach. Is it going to be the most mechanically sound, tactically depth, creating game like I just mentioned with Primal and or Aeon Trespass Odyssey? No, I'm not expecting that. The expectations are completely different from that. Are they still high? Yeah, I mean, they're still high, but they're in a slightly different manner. And so that's why it's number 2. We're just going to stay with the plastic games right now. We're going to go over here and we're going to say Freedom 5. Freedom 5, the cooperative deck builder-esque game, taking Sentinels of the Multiverse and making it just slightly more different in a card-based co-op with more area movement and deck building aspects of things, completely different than the actual Sentinels in the multiverse game, because I am not a big fan of the original Sentinels multiverse game. Now I've heard the new 3.0, 4.0 version, whatever it actually is, right? Which reminds me, I'm sure they've got a crowdfunding campaign coming out soon with that, because it's been a while since I've seen that. But this one has been delayed and delayed and delayed. They've hit snags, they've hit snags, and they've hit snags. They're doing miniatures, but they're also doing gray miniatures as well as pre-painted miniatures. And so there's just been a whole lot of drag out from that aspect of things. The nice thing, though, that with this one that I really appreciated, just like with Wonder Woman's War, is they separated it out. You could get it with, you could get it without, you weren't going to miss gameplay, and I really appreciate that. And so, as you know me, I like this sort of cooperative game on this channel, and so that's why it was high on my list. The question is going to be, is it more like Tokyo Sidekick, which it very is reminiscent of, hopefully just in thematic incorporation and mechanisms and not actual gameplay, because I'm not super high on Tokyo Sidekick from Japan Made Games, which was a port over to North America from Japan in the original state. But the gameplay hopefully will be a little bit better, and so that's why it's on this list. Now that gets me significantly off of the plastic chunks right now, and this really brings me to the rest of the mostly non-plastic driven games on this list. So that's not really a lot, right? 3 out of the 10. Not too bad whatsoever. The next one, a complete departure. The only thing I've done on backer kit right now, and that's Daybreak. The Daybreak game from Liege, the creator of Pandemic. And, you know, I love Pandemic. Iberia. And this is the next in line. I think this is a step up, and I think it's a step up difficulty, a step up complexity, but not inaccessible either. And to do that as a cooperative game with this environmental theme, I absolutely adore this environmental theme, because they really went through the campaign and said, this is how it's going to be interacting. This is why the thematic incorporation works. And they showed it, and they told it through the mechanisms. And so that is unique. That's different than a lot of other games nowadays. And so I give them a lot of kudos. Is it going to be the best priced game? Probably not. No, I'm probably going to lose $15 or so on it if I would have picked it up at retail, if it's widely available at retail. I mean, right? And so, you know what? That was one of those, and I just said, I'm going to support the publisher on this side of things, and I've made my peace with that. And that's not always the biggest deal. Do I do that on everything? No. Am I frugal about it in other areas? Absolutely. But you know what? Sometimes we all have ones that hit the hearts here. And so that one was an easy one for me. Next up, this is the only game that I can remember in the last year, maybe even 2 years, that I have late backed. Not backed for $1 during the campaign and then upgraded. Not in the campaign and then gotten more. Late backed solely and not done the campaign whatsoever, and that was Roxley's game of Skyrise. I just remember looking at this, and this was one of the few, when I looked back, when I was doing these look backs, this past year, of games that funded and games where they were at, and how I was hyped in terms of that. Skyrise was one of those that I said, of the games I did not back, I regret not backing this one, because that list nowadays is very, very small. That list, intuitively, I do not back things that I'm not in love with. I'm getting away from things that I think I'm going to like, and I have to love them. Because look at this around me. I have way too much already. I want to sell a bunch of stuff. I want to get rid of a bunch of stuff. And so I need to, have just stuff that I love, because otherwise it's not going to hit the table. It's just not going to hit the table. It's not. So this was one that I said, as a revamped reedition, Roxley has done me right across the board in terms of Radlands, in terms of Dice Throne. They have just put out a serious quality product across the board, and I feel like this has to be another in the line of them, and I feel like this is going to be a very different game in terms of what I have in my collection already. The auction mechanic is unique. I love the area control style of it as well, in terms of the going around and the bidding and then getting your bids back if you don't win. I love the aspect of that. Yeah, it got some plastic, it's got some upgrades, it's got a little bit of Sundrop stuff if you really wanted to go that route. Yeah, but you didn't need to. And if you wanted to pick this one up at retail, yeah, you're probably going to save money. But I went with a little deluxification here, and this was one that I'm looking at from an aesthetic value, sort of like Bullet Heart, that's going to give me that aspect already. So that's why this was the only one I have late backed in like the last 2 years, which again says something right there. The next one up here, we're going to be talking about Pagan, Fate of Roanoke. This one had a lot of hype when it got delivered, and then it did the reprint campaign with some new expansions, and then it sort of died down completely. This is in the line of Android Netrunner, as a lot of people have compared it to, where you're either the witch hunter or the witch, sort of set in a Salem-esque vibe with a pre-constructed deck, but also the ability to deck construct, or even, kind of manage it along the way, where you're either trying to find the witch as the hunter, or complete your ritual before the hunter catches you. And the dynamics, the yin, the yang, the push, the pull of this game has really been appealing. The thematic difference compared to other games out there, this theme has just not been used. It's just so significantly different, and I think it looks fantastic. It's going to hopefully fit that itch that I have not been able to get out of Netrunner yet, as a person who owns just the revised core from the formerly Nisai. I forget what they changed their name to, but I'm now trying to get into that. But again, that game is a little bit much of a step up probably for my wife because of the overhead that goes along with it. And so this, I think, is going to be an easier entry point, especially with the pre-constructed. And so that's why that's on my list. I got a couple of the expansions. I didn't get everything, but enough to give me a little bit of construction, a little bit of manipulation without having too much all at the same time, which is also sort of a little bit of a self-contained market that this game is going to provide. So I'm really excited about that one. Next one up, this one came out of nowhere for me. Speaking of auction mechanics, the granddaddy of all auction games, Ra from 25th Century Games. This is an absolutely fantastic production. If you watched my review of it, this is just an absolutely fantastic game. I'd never played it prior to 25th Century Games being willing to send it to me, and so I give them a lot of kudos because that's the sort of person they were looking for, and it absolutely knocked it out of the park in terms of production, in terms of gameplay, in terms of aesthetic, in terms of something different that, again, my wife really loved, that plays well at all the various player counts from 2 to 5, and I just can't wait to get a copy. Just can't wait to get a copy, and it's going to be top 25 game-ish probably in my collection, and I can easily say that without even having a hands-on copy right now, so I love it that much, and I'm excited to, put it on the shelf behind me and not the trade shelf behind the camera. So there you go. Flat Out Games and Fit to Print. I was not expecting to like this game this much, but the real-time element of creating your own newspaper, going head-to-head, getting the bylines, sort of creating your slow puzzle, and going as you're going head-to-head to do this over several rounds. I love real-time. I love the tiling. I love the matching. I love the patterns. I love the asymmetry. I love the asymmetric powers. It's just right up my alley. I can't believe that this game is going to do anything but exceed my expectations. I don't buy games that I think are going to fall flat anymore, like I said. And so this one checks all those boxes for me. I passed out on the previous Flat Out Games' recent follow-ups of Verdant, and I didn't have any interest in the prior Calico. So for me, it's Cascadia and Fit to Print, and I think they're different enough, but they're in the same style, the same scope, and the same general time frame of being able to hit the table, as well as complexity to learn to get to the table, that it's definitely in the sweet spot for me. So I have no qualms about telling you that's why this one made the list. Now, there's only 2 more spots left, so what else are we going to be talking about on this list? One is another cooperative game, Frank from the City of Games, and their co-op based on the Isle of Cats game. Now we get their cooperative version of it as a tile layer. And so, again, I love me some tile layers. This is a cooperative tile layer. This is 80 different scenarios that you're going to be having to manage and get these cats off of the island. You're laying these tiles down to match the colors. Yep. They didn't do me wrong on Isle of Cats. They're not going to do me wrong here. There's enough information on the campaign to make me really excited about it. Again, as a cooperative lover, you can see why a lot of these games on this list are cooperative. And so I'm just really going to have high expectations for this game, which I hope I'm not let down for, but I don't think so. Again, the greatest thing about being in this hobby as long as I have been, 6 or 7 years, right? People are going to be like, I've been doing this for 20, Chris. I now know, I guess what I'm saying is, I've been in this long enough to know what I like and know what I don't like. I can look at things and have a better assessment, a better judgment than I did, say, even 2 or 3 or 4 years ago, where I thought what I liked and what I actually liked and what I thought I could get to the table and what I could actually get to the table was completely different. And so that's why Race to the Raft is on this list. And City of Games has done a good job of providing value on their Kickstarters and their crowdfunders. And so I don't really worry about that as opposed to some of these others where, maybe I am giving publishers a little bit more. But you know what? So be it at the same time. So they give us some incentive. They give some incentives. They give some exclusives in terms of price reduction, and there's a promo pack, and I love the wooden meeples as opposed to the plastic ones. I didn't need the plastic miniatures with this one, so it was an easy pass. So what is last up on this list? Well, last up on this list is from Brotherwise Games, and that's Castles by the Sea. Waiting for this one as sort of a Catacombs Cubes-esque game that is going to be building sandcastles based on blocks, based on your types of your workers and your types of builders that you have access to as your engine building. So the aesthetic is beautiful. It's kind of what I thought Catacomb Cubes was going to be. And Brotherwise Games, again, is putting out very solid products over and over again. And so I have no qualms about it. I'm not such a big fan always on the screen printed meeples that they did with it. It was a deluxification that I ended up going with because it was like a $5 price point increase. And if I do like them, they're going to be impossible to get. And if I don't like them, well, I'm not really worried about it. I just kind of hope they don't get in the way aesthetically. That's my only concern, because I was not a fan of them and Meeples and Monsters from AEG. So it looks like a very, very solid game. Again, as a competitive game of building your own sandcastles against each other. Again, right? Like building your sandcastles. Who thought I would be getting a game that's building your own sandcastles? Either, I didn't think so, but either way, hugely appealing. So take that for what you will. There you go. Those are my 10 games arriving from Kickstarter and crowdfunding in 2023 that I am most excited about. Let me know what's on your list. Let me know what you think. Let me know which of these you actually backed or which of these you passed on for whatever reason, because your tastes are obviously not the same as mine. But if you're watching this, you're probably close as well. So take that for what you will. Obviously, there were no super heavy games on this list either. So you know what I play. You know what I like, folks. I dabble here and there. Take that for what you will. I love board games. You like board games? Stay classy. Have a great day.